Hey, this Realm of the Mist podcast is brought to you proudly by the Nurses Guild. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Realm of the Mist Daily Show. I don't know if it'll remain the Daily Show. That's actually the topic of conversation that myself and Mr. Chris Rudder from What's Your Effin' Binge are going to be kind of talking about right now. So you're kind of getting a little inside tracked into the world of Realm of the Mist entertainment. But first,
the how they make sausage episode, yeah.
That's it. That's it. If you're squeamish, look away. No, Chris and I, before we started recording, penis.
That's right. Yes.
Before Chris
Don't
and I
forget big penis back there. God damn it.
Yes,
God
big
damn it.
penis.
Yeah.
Big penis. Just not corn.
We don't like just penis. Yeah, it's got to be.
Just stay away from the corn noodle penis. Did you listen to the last weekly episode of Breaking the Fourth Wall? That you weren't on? Did you listen to it? There was some shit on that episode.
That's what's up. I like it when everybody else carries on whenever I'm not there. That's great, because I'm usually the instigator of some bullshit.
Well,
so, yeah.
one of the news buffet topics was an Asian family had cornmeal noodles in their freezer for like a year, and they ate it. And it killed like 8 out of the 9 people that lived in the house.
I was going to say, what did they turn into? That's like the beginning of a horror movie. Like, oh, here's some shit. And then next thing you know, you got tentacles growing out of your eyes. Yeah. Well, Jesus.
Between that and the micro robot that goes through the anus, into the body through the anus that they were talking about testing on pigs, you can imagine the whole show was constantly calling back to both of those.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, remember that time we thought that was just a joke? Yeah.
But what we were talking about is the fact that the Daily Show really doesn't look like it's going to catch legs because of just getting all that content out there. So Chris and I were having a conversation before recording about kind of changing up the format, like still coming out with the stuff, but changing up the format, and then it also led into the topic of conversation, which we'd love to get your guys' opinion on, of me releasing something outside of Realm of the Mist entertainment. Now, normally the rule in Realm of the Mist is that we do not get involved with politics. Mostly because I have my points of view, Chris has his points of view, you guys listening have your points of view. And I don't want to alienate the listeners of Realm of the Mist entertainment for my point of view being different from yours. However, Chris is starting to feel that maybe it's time for me to finally start pissing some people off.
Yeah, I'm like fucking lean into it, bro, because we've had a lot of discussions, and some people are researched enough to have the articulate conversation that is needed. And some people are just bloviating from emotion, like what they heard on CNN secondhand. Their uncle told them this is what they said on CNN or whatever. There's a difference between actually being present in the details or just regurgitating what you've heard.
Right.
And to me, Chris has always seemed like the guy that has the ability to lean into it because he's been able to form his own opinions, whether it's a piss you off or not kind of topic. And in this day and age, there's not a lot of people that can pull it off or lean into it wholeheartedly enough that it doesn't become transparent. And I've been telling Chris for months, I think that's your vein, bro. Like I think that's where you're at. And Not it's not like we're talking about the second coming of Rush Limbaugh or anything like that. It's more of a regionalized approach, but at the same time, um, because your region is Philadelphia, you're still talking about a national
Right.
platform. So I think that the way that you present things and everything, and you do things to rattle some cages sometimes just to get a response or get a dialogue going. And
That's the pro wrestler in me.
yeah, and there's I think that there's a spot for that, dude. I really do. Like what we all do with you on Breaking the Fourth Wall. Breaking the Fourth Wall is incredibly fun because I get to talk to you and I get to talk to Don Smith, and get to talk to Colin, and whenever Serenity is available, and whenever we have a guest or whatever. And it's a current events thing, and we're all trying to laugh and have fun. It's a couple hours of giggles and a lot of bullshit, and which is fun, but also to have something that's going to where you're going to be able to set your foot down and do something that your real voice is coming from. Like you have your heart and your voice, and whenever you talk about something from the heart while using your voice, that can become very powerful, polarizing, but powerful.
Well, here's the question: if I were to do that for the sake of this conversation, we'll call this project the Chris Stolle Show. Because I imagine if it's going to be me, I would release it on its own YouTube platform, its own Anchor platform. It would be separate from Realm of the Mist Entertainment, especially if I'm going to go hard on topics of conversation that may not reflect positively towards Realm of the Mist and specifically breaking the fourth wall.
It's not positive or not positive. It's a matter of whether or not everybody's in agreement. See, that's a twisting of the. There's a something that has gone on in the zeitgeist out there, that where the twisting of words still means something, where you're actually not saying what you're saying, kind of deal. And I think that I don't think that if you're gonna do it and do the lean into it approach, like we're saying, that having to say that it doesn't agree with the breaking the fourth wall. That's a totally separate gig, and that's a totally separate entity. And the Chris Stolle Show would be wholly, inherent to its own message, and that would be a standalone. Period. You would very quickly separate yourself from what we do on the Breaking the Fourth Wall.
Well, you think? But that's the that's the question of, if I were to do it, besides making it separate, a separate entity from Realm of the Mist Entertainment, what would be the best format to do? I mean, there's plenty of people out there who give, conservative point of views, for example, like Ben Shapiro or Louder with Crowder, as two examples where they offer the conservative arguments and bring up enough of the references, like sites that they go to or polls or whatever the case may be. Would I just be another one of those, or should it be more opinion based, where it's like, yeah, I'm reacting to things I've read or things I've seen, and I don't agree with them. Here's why, but not necessarily concentrating on here's link A, here's doc C, proving of what I'm saying.
So you could go a couple of different ways. You could go the Alex Jones InfoWars way of things, where you're always bringing up the documents to prove what you're saying, so that way everybody doesn't think you're crazy. Because the wild thing about Alex Jones is, for 30 years he has said the most outlandish shit, and 95% of it has been proven true. So if there was a fact checker on site, always saying, hang on, Alex, let me see if what you're saying is true, and then showing it to the audience. Like, there's that version. Hannity and Combs, or any of the Fox incarnations or of any of these talk shows, or CNN incarnations of these talk shows, they don't do fact-checking live. So you can do it, which is totally opinion-based. If you're not fact-checking while you're talking, then you're opinionating. And so if you want to do the opinion, but you also want to be fact-checked, that's your lane. that's the thing where you're able to speak on what it is that you're thinking, and then have somebody after the fact check it,
Well, see,
and
I don't mind. I don't mind
and
because
then come out saying, like 80% of the time, what I have said, even though it's just my opinion, has been proven to be right. Whenever you say shit like that, and you're able to back it up with slide after slide of facts, just to wear everybody down with it after the fact, like I think there's definitely a lane there.
well,
There's a
that's my
few
point. Do I
shows.
want to do I want to waste the time before show finding all the facts that I could find and downloading them
I think you just fly with it and then let
or just
somebody fact check it after. Yeah.
yeah, or do I just turn around to, like, for an example, I don't want to turn this episode into this, but for an example, the current events happening in Philadelphia with the riots, and I turn around instead of showing that,
How far away are you guys from that? For everybody who's not listening, Chris is not very far from this.
no, I live in Northeast Philadelphia. I'm about at best 20 miles away from West Philadelphia, where this all started. However, when you say, well, that's 20 miles, yeah, well, they've been looting and breaking shit in my neighborhood too.
So they have moved that far outside of the city.
Oh yeah.
And there's been a lot of people that are talking about this, and I think that, going back to what we're talking about with, a Stolle show of where you're speaking opinion and it's politically based, you're putting yourself on an island. You're very exposed. But at the same time, if you just let it fly, and then after the fact, you can say, hey, last week, whenever we were talking about these things, it came about that fact checking shows that 75% of what I said was actually on track. And if you compare a 75% success rate compared to most other businesses or other opinions or other newspapers or editorials, the New York Post themselves, their actual op-eds are at best 50% on track. So if you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it in a video format and you're letting people fact check you afterwards, and if you have an episode where it was like, you're only 42% right on that one, Chris, well, let's let time show. We'll come back to it. But you admit to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And don't argue it. Just go, oh, okay, cool. So here's this week's of topics, and just move on fucking with it, and then come back 3 months later and be like, remember that episode where I was only 42% right? Here's this one thing. Oh, okay, now all of a sudden I'm 75% right again. And there's nothing wrong with being that kind of guy, I don't think. I think the fact that you...
As long as I'm not spewing violence or hate.
Vitriol and the violence part of it, and none of the hate speech part of it, where you're just talking pure facts, and it, even though it would be opinion based, if you're keeping everything fact based and not like really getting, not trying to get out there with a tinfoil hat with shit. I think that everything that we've talked about, we've known each other for close to a year with the podcasting business. That everything that I've seen you talk about, whenever it comes to that stuff, like there's a serious subject matter, and you're speaking from the heart on it, and you're speaking from a depth, as opposed to the glossary, not overview of some subject you'll see, but there's a much deeper. It resonates with you a little bit deeper than it does with other people. And I think being able to put that view out there is cool, to be able to do it if you're researched enough. And you can't constantly pick the same subject over and over again, obviously. And you've been diverse with that. So I think that the ability to lean in and, our same thing I'm preaching to Joiner, keep our network small. It's not better with numbers, it's better with quality.
Right.
And being able to lean into to what it is that you're good at and passionate about. It's passion that comes across to people. That's what makes people listen. And, with as many podcasts are out there, it's like literally 1 in 300 people right now have a podcast. And then the numbers drop from there on how often they release, how often they actually edit, how often they actually blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden that million number becomes, like 150,000 real operating podcast,
Right.
which is a huge number. But the people who listen to the podcast they listen to they listen to the podcast where the person is leaning in with their heart, not headlines. And it's not the first time we've had this conversation where I think that's a strong suit for you, dude. I think so.
It's a scary subject matter, and the reason being is especially because of the fact that you and I deal with a lot of people, celebrity wise, and 9 times out of 10, people who are in celebrity statuses are very left leaning. They're very liberal. And
you can alienate, but you can also draw out great conversations that way.
If you can get them to do a typical debate. See, the problem is 4 years ago, before Trump took office, if you had a problem with the left or the left had a problem with the right, you could sit down and have a debate, and it would be a debate. It would be simply an exchange of ideas, and you could shake hands and walk away from it at the end of the day. Nowadays, if you turn around and have any type of opinion that doesn't fit with the status quo, you are automatically marked a racist, you are automatically marked a Nazi, you are automatically marked as something that's less than human, which makes it okay to berate, dox, and even harm the person.
Here's the thing I say about that. Just real quick, all these network guys, whenever they do get doxxed or they get checked, or,
and by the way, this is not me conspiracy theorying this, and Chris knows this.
Real.
This shit has happened to me.
Yeah, no, it really did happen, and I think that if you do not, if you're talking from a conviction and not being stupid enough to be able to change your mind, if somebody does present you with facts that you can change your opinion on something, you immediately cop to it. But at the same time, if nobody has presented those kind of facts to you, you continue to lean into it, and you never have to worry about people, if they fact check you, that it's been a consistent thing. That's where the freshness comes in, and that's where the idea, for me, for you, I'm sounding like Randy Jackson from American Idol. For me, for you.
Dog.
That, that it's there hasn't been a change in tone whenever it comes to this conversation. Nobody can really find anything, and maybe that's a challenge. Maybe that's your whitewash. If somebody could find something where you waffled on something, and I having many conversations with you. We've had personal conversations. We've had business conversations. We've had show conversations. And to find if somebody was able to dig up something on record that you waffled on as an adult, I'd be highly surprised. And if they were able to find that one thing, I guarantee it, there'd be a real legitimate, almost life-changing circumstance that caused that change of stance.
Define waffle.
If something like that were to happen, then so be it. Cop to it, and that's the freshness. That's the ability, to form the opinion and voice it, and then lean into it. Not just on the fringes of what we're doing with the business, with the podcasting and everything. What you do from your personal profiles and all that stuff, and everybody can see what you got, what you think. And then not bringing it to the podcast. I think that you're leaving half the message out there. And I think that leaning into those things is something where you're going to find a boom, actually. You're going to find a lot of people that gravitate towards you. And that has nothing to do with breaking the fourth wall, because we're our own cast of idiots. That's totally separate,
That's absolutely true. Although I'm the head idiot of breaking the fourth wall, since I do the interviews.
Yeah, and so you have to find it. Maybe it's tougher to find a guest, or the flip side of that is that it's very easy to find opposition. And as well as I do, whenever you speak from a conservative point of view, that it's very easy to get people to get emotionally rattled whenever they try to argue versus facts and emotion, because that's where most people from the left come from, is an emotional point of view.
Well, see, that's the
versus facts.
That's the
thing. So whenever you're that fact driver, that's a totally different. You're able to control a lot of shit.
See, that's the thing too. Is like, as a conservative, I don't necessarily drive home facts, although I use facts to back up my statements, more often than not. But really, my points of view, even on social medias, when I see something I don't agree with and I respond to it, I don't necessarily respond to it with, no, that's not true. Here's grid A, grid B, and grid C proving that what you're saying is false. What I do is I come at it from a rational mind. I come at it
Yeah, and most of them can deal with that.
I don't want to say I devoid myself of emotion, but I come at it like, wait a minute, why do you think that, again, using as an example, why do you think stealing 5 pairs of Air Jordans and a fucking PS5 is justification? Is justified as justice, for somebody that you perceive was killed in cold blood. It's not necessarily me coming at you saying rioting is wrong. It's coming at you saying how is this morally right?
I think and this is just my take on it, and you're gonna have yours. And I think if it's something that you lean into, it's going to be the right move for you. And from my point of view, whenever you're talking about these things, for you to be successful enough for both sides to listen to you. Like if you look at the George Floyd video, obviously that was wrong. And saying that it's wrong does not
the death was wrong.
Your stance on anything else.
The death was wrong. I agree. The death was wrong. But this again goes into seeing the full video and taking in consideration all the content. George Floyd was I don't want to say justified killing, but he could have avoided it simply by complying. He was not an innocent victim that a guy just grabbed and killed. That is the point. Now, should he have been on his back of his neck until he died? No, of course not. But the fact is, he could have avoided that situation simply by complying to begin with.
As a BJJ guy, I practice and I work at a studio here in town. That's kind of my part-time gig, along with the bartending. I never talk about it because whenever you talk about, oh yeah, I do BJJ, then everybody's like, oh yeah, how good are you? And whenever you're 50 years old, you don't want to have that daily conversation with 20-year-olds.
Just do me a favor for the sake of the teenager in me. Call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not BJJ, because my mind's going automatically somewhere south.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Brazilian, whenever you do actually teach it, the 8 minutes of a Neko was 7 minutes and about 12 seconds excessive force.
Exactly. No, I absolutely agree with that.
And being able to start the conversation with that first, like that would be the only, don't be inflammatory just to get the headline because that's clickbait. Go ahead and acknowledge that first. That this is, an extra 7 minutes and 48 seconds of the 8 minutes and 36 that was not necessary. And then coming at the conversation from that point of view, because I can grab anybody by your arm and pull you into me and choke you like an anaconda. It's a game. There's a chess match that's about to happen, and you're either prepared for it or you're not. And since I'm very prepared for it, it's probably going to take about 30 or 45 seconds, and I could have you completely fucking passed out. And if I want to be real mean, I can make you piss yourself. I've told people this before and done it. This guy doing that, as long as you acknowledge both sides of it and don't be inflammatory on one side or the other. If you are going to be inflammatory, back it up with other inflammatory stuff. And I think, that's a platform for you. And I'm going to continue to say it. I've been saying it since the last incarnation of Realm of the Mist with the other groups that we had in there, that you have a voice that you're not using. And I
Well,
think that you should.
Well, I'm definitely going to take a moment since we were on the George Floyd thing, just so people understand my position. I absolutely agree with what Chris is saying as far as it was 7 minutes and 7.5 minutes too long. I do agree with that. But again, I stand on the principle that a white cop didn't go hunting a black guy and just kill him. What had happened was the black guy was high off his ass, refused to respond to police officers, and put himself into the position where this happened. He was a victim, but not an innocent bystander. And that is that's the problem with the narrative is everybody automatically just looks at white cop kills black guy, and the reason why gets lost.
That's the thing, because at this point in time, bringing up those circumstances do not matter. So whenever you're talking about a fresh circumstance, a fresh instance,
okay, I'll talk about a fresh one.
You have to immediately come in and be prepared to deal with that take of it, and you're totally prepared for that, dude. That's why I keep coming back to this. That like this is something that because you really do lean into it. Whenever we're having a private conversation, it's like, man, this is his voice. I think he doesn't realize it, that this is his way to go, and that's you don't have to be somebody who just graduated from Berkeley or fucking Vanderbilt or wherever. You don't have to be a college educated person to be able to come in with a real world view. And whenever you come in with something that's fresh, that you don't deviate from unless someone proves you wrong. And if somebody proves you wrong, I've seen you actually, cop deuces and be like, hey, I was, somebody pointed this out and I was wrong. But at the same time, if they don't, you don't lay off the narrative. And whether it's Trump or Biden that comes in, I mean, we're less than a week away. I think that there is ample topics to be able to be covered. Just go local, fucking just deal local for a while.
that means I'll daily be releasing how much I can't stand Tom Wolf as governor, and
there you go. Yeah,
and how
somebody who's the mayor of Philadelphia, go local and fucking lean into those cocksuckers.
Fucking Mayor Kenny.
Let the national news take care of itself, and because it's that local. Rush Limbaugh at one time was just a Sacramento radio guy. First he was in St. Louis, and then whenever he got his first big gig, it was Sacramento. And then all of a sudden, everybody knows Rush Limbaugh. People either love him or hate him. But, 35 years ago, he was just a St. Louis radio DJ. And then he moved to Sacramento. And then they started letting him have his own op-ed piece that was like 20 minutes of the 2-hour show that he had. And then it was like, boom, fucking, that shit is legend at this point in time. He's the conservative version of Howard Stern.
Hey, I just came up, not to interrupt you, while we were talking, I just came up with a new name from Realm of the Mist, since we're not going to make this a daily show, since just, content is just hard to come up with for 5 days a week. How about Realm of the Mist Xtreme?
Hard takes of each of our subjects, maybe. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be the way I would take that title. So Don Smith is going to come in a hard take on weird news. Here's this chick, whatever, decided to clean her pussy with a garden hose or whatever, and then Chris comes in with, it's fucking bullshit that Star Trek got canceled. Like a hard lean on something, like just one topic.
Wait. Did Discovery get canceled? Please tell me you're telling me good news.
Yeah, it's been canceled.
Has it really?
Yeah, this is its last year.
So it's getting its third season, but then it's done.
Yeah, this is its last
season. I'm sorry. I don't have a problem with a female-led person. I don't have a problem with the person, the color person in Star Trek. I have a problem with this show just straight sucked. This show was too hard-nosed. It was too politically steeped.
They had a very big axe to grind from the very beginning, because this show, Discovery, came in at the beginning of Me Too. And then by the time the second season was written, a lot of Me Too content was included.
Which is sad because season two is where they introduced Christopher Pike and they brought in the Enterprise. And I thought those were the best episodes of Discovery because it was bringing it back to Star Trek.
Yeah, but it was lost in the message because the Me Too writing had already been put in. And not saying it's lost, ladies, please, I'm not being that kind of a dick. You all know just as well as I do that women accuse guys of doing something they didn't do to be able to get out of trouble or to bring the light to themselves or whatever the case is. So, I mean, we all know that. And if we don't, then, you're not listening anyway, so fuck you.
The following is an important message from the Nurses Guild of Florida. We know COVID has many scared. Many of our seniors are even afraid to go to the doctors. Just the thought of being exposed to all the people in the waiting room, in addition to the doctor's staff, is a risk many don't want to take right now. However, putting off health care makes most conditions worse. The Nurses Guild has the solution. One that exposes you to just one person. Call your doctor's office and have them order a nursing assessment from the Nurses Guild. We are a 5-star Medicare home health agency. Your registered nurse in full PPE will perform a full head-to-toe assessment, vital signs and medication review, pulse oximetry, even an EKG if needed. Lab work and x-rays can also be done at home. Our registered nurse will discuss all of this strictly and directly with your doctor and get you results. All of our nurses and home health aides are fully screened, supervised, and COVID tested. Call the Nurses Guild today to arrange your home health visit at 954-596-9806 in Broward County and 561-826-8937 in Palm Beach County. Remember, healthcare put off is healthcare too late. Stay safe during the pandemic. Wear a mask and insist those around you wear a mask. Wash your hands frequently and stay home as much as possible.
See that was what was wrong. That was what was wrong with Me Too to begin with. Was that all women need to be believed, all men are scum, blah 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 blah. Your platform,
taking that hard
your platform was wrong. The ideal was correct that a woman who has been violated needs to be protected, and there needs to be harsh punishments and rapid punishments for those that have actually done that to a woman. I absolutely agree with those platforms, but to turn around and say somebody like Chrissy de Blasio, for example, who tried to ruin fucking Kavanaugh's life with a lie, no, that is not Me Too.
Look at Johnny Depp's old lady.
Johnny
She has completely fucked him up. Okay, so let's take it to the common man stand. You're at college, and you're a football player. You're on a scholarship. And you're at a frat party. And for anybody who has or has not been on a college campus, whenever you're one of those guys and you're a frat guy, you're a frat king, and then one of the sorority girls comes, and it's part of the pledge, hey, you got to go suck his dick if you want to be in the sorority.
Right. Girls
play that way. And then they play the victim at the same time. And being able to see through those things, that takes a very discerning lens to actually take a look at it and have a two-way discussion at the same time. And I think even though the guest might be a little bit of a further reach than what you and I are accustomed to dealing with Joyner as our publicist, maybe these are one-on conversations where it's just you.
Right.
I think that this is. I really think it's your gig, bro. I really do.
But I'm an entertainer.
Yeah, and we all want to think, and there's nothing wrong with being the guy on the stage that is the entertainer, the one who's bringing the facts or who's bringing the opinion and does not waver from it. And if you do get presented with something that does bring things to a different light, that you go ahead and cop to it. You're honest. It takes 3 minutes to issue an apology, or not an apology, but I misquoted.
I was about to say I'm not.
Here's the difference.
We've had the conversation.
There's no credibility issues, and you can lean in as fucking hard as you want.
I was about to say we all heard the story about breaking the fourth wall happening to issue a public apology for the word twat. I am not apologizing for shit ever again.
Fuck that. Yeah, for twat? Are you kidding me? I'll say twat fucking 20 more times just because.
I don't care
twat.
who I offend. I will never apologize on this show again.
in the late 70s, early 80s, my dad, I think I was 10 or 11. Anyways, he got accused of sexual harassment because he called a chick. I believe the right word is dingleberry. I believe he called her something along those lines. And she tried suing the company. And he was a big-time manager and a big-time retailer. Every mall in America had a store like this. So she saw a paycheck, and this is if she would have made that a statement now, she would have got paid. Back in the day, though, it was a bad deal. Like it hung over my old man's head for a long time, and
basically all he did was Archie Bunker or call her a dingbat.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. I think that might actually be the word he said, was dingbat. And so there's not a lot of difference between 1980 and 2020. The only difference is how sympathetic people are to words being used. And if you're not afraid to use words, regardless of how offensive they are to some people, and you definitely are not afraid of using words that may or may not be offensive, I think that
well, within reason. Like I won't ever drop the N-bomb.
Or, whatever.
Yeah, I'm never going to drop the N-word or something like that because that's just, uncalled for ignorance.
Well, yeah, that's totally unacceptable. But, at the same time, though, an opinion is an opinion, and I think that, again, the Randy Jackson
dog
impersonation. For me, for you, for me, for you. For me, for you. For me, for you, dog. I just think that that's where you are, dude. If there was ever to stand back, one of my jobs whenever I worked in corporate America, and I worked very high level corporate gigs. I'm 50 years old, so for everybody out there, if you don't know, it's not like I'm some 23-year-old who doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm 50. I've gone through a lot of shit. I had a heart attack at the age of 44 because of the job I'm getting ready to talk about.
Don't say that. I'm about to be 44.
I'm fucking 50, so get over it.
No, I'm just worried about you having a heart attack at 44. It's like, wait a minute, I'm about to be 44. Shut up.
Well, it was stress induced because of the job. Okay, and whenever you're dealing at a very high corporate level, and you get taught to be able to take a step back and look at it from what we call the 50,000 foot view. I want to take a very high level look. Here's the snapshot of what's going on.
Right.
And looking at it that way, again, for me, for you, for you, for me,
dog.
For me, for you, dog. I just see that's something for you to lean into, and I there needs to be a fresh voice in that circle too. And even if you're coming from the fringes with only 12 viewers to start out with, because it's a whole new take. So fucking what? 12 viewers, as long as you keep doing it and keep putting out the content quickly after a year, you and I both know this, that 12 viewers can just as easily be 1,000 or 10,000. And once you reach that voice, then, there's something going on with it. And you're speaking only from the heart. You're not speaking topographically. There's something to be said whenever people hear a true message being spoken from the heart. And I think that's, I don't know, man. It's something. I think that's where I think that's what you need to look at.
Well, it's definitely something to think about, and like you said, if I'm going to do this, I should move on it quickly, so that way I get ahead of the election
Yeah. Go ahead and get your views in now, and so that way, just don't do hot takes. Put some thought into it, and
trust
put
me,
some
it's
shit
been
on.
when I'm not doing the podcast, the election's all that's on my mind, mostly because of the fact I can't escape the goddamn ads.
And you're able to live that way, whereas I'm not. I'm not the evening news guy or the world news guy.
It's not even the news
and that kind of stuff.
No, it's not even it's not even that shit. I can't watch a fucking let's play video game episode on YouTube without getting bombarded with Joe Biden commercials.
Yeah, and that's the really fucked up thing about that, like on Facebook, you're able to choose the ad content that gets shown to you. You have to be strenuous with it, and you have to be constant with it to actually make it change, but you can make it change. And you can do the same thing on YouTube. The only problem is you have to do it with your viewing content. So if you don't want to hear another Biden commercial, then don't listen to another Biden conversation.
I don't.
And if you're picking up your facts, you have to, though, right?
The problem is I don't. Like when I'm for sake. All right, I mainly watch YouTube while I'm taking a shit. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so while I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm watching Ben Shapiro. Sure, I'm watching Lottawa Crowder. But then I'm watching fucking Alex Hefner react to a fucking heavy metal song, or I'm watching the history of Dragon Quest, the video game, or and Cinemassacre, right. and stuff like that. Nothing about Joe Biden, and every single time I click on one of their fucking videos, any of those videos, I get 7 fucking Joe Biden ads, 1 Trevor Noah ad every fucking time, and then the rest of it's Grubhub or fucking DraftKings. I've gone into the thing and told them I don't want to see these ads. I've tried to block these ads. They bring them right the fuck back up. They're forcing it. They're forcing it because they got paid to have it out there.
So here's one of the things that I have done, and I only did it by accident because of the music channel, because in the next week, the What's Your Effing Binge show is also launching a radio station. So in trying to get prepared for that 2 or 3 hours of material a week, I was looking at, like, what's the best way to do it. And the best way to do it is to be able to pull off of YouTube, so that way you also have the video content for your show if you're doing it in video.
Right.
The only way to do that was to get YouTube Premium. And since I've gotten that, and also the same thing with Spotify, once I've gotten that, I'm no longer subject to those commercials. I'm able to exit out of it, and then they say, "Do you not like the content?" I say yes, and I never see it again. So if you're doing the free version, you're kind of subject to it. Mm-hmm. But if you spend the $10 a month and give your opinion, you'll never hear it again after the first one. I haven't up to this point, because I'm getting ready for this weekend's first release of the radio station.
Well, that's funny. I used to be a premium member to both Spotify and YouTube at one point, and when I paid those premiums, I didn't get commercials at all. Now they're still giving commercials, but you have to opt out of them?
Well, so for the YouTube part of it, okay, Spotify is still the same way that you remember. If you pay for the premium, you don't have to, listen to ads to listen to your music. On YouTube, obviously, you still have to listen to ads, because all of the, for me especially, I listen to nothing but other podcasters. So, all of them have ads that are attached. That's kind of the way it works once you become monetized.
Well, I'm not talking about like with us, where we have our own commercial that we edit into the video before we upload. I'm not talking about those types of commercials. I'm talking about what YouTube throws on.
Yeah, the way it works on YouTube is once you're monetized, then all commercials are fair game. The difference is the public viewer or free viewer versus the pay viewer. Since I'm a paid viewer, I'm able to pick and choose that I don't want to see that commercial ever fucking again, and it never shows up again. There are ads attached. If somebody is monetized, there's a reason, and the monetization doesn't come just from your $10 a month. It comes from, there's a couple of 30-second ads, and it may be attached to their products. If you're watching a cool enough show like, Your Mom's House or Two Bears, One Cave or Joe Rogan or whatever, you can actually say like, yeah, that commercial doesn't do it for me, even though it's attached to their show. You can now hear a different one. So no matter what, you can't escape ads. But there are ways to be able to hop, skip, and around to only make sure that you get the content that you do want. Because, YouTube is a very weird thing. Even though people can be monetized, the reason I closed my channel on YouTube and was waiting for the whole Spotify thing deal to, really take place with Rogan and everything was, with the YouTube deal, monetization is actually pretty easy if you have just a decent enough listener base. 4,000 hours a year is not hard to get. But if you say fuck in the first 5 minutes, or now if you talk about COVID or politics, especially if it's an anti-Biden deal, you can be demonetized for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just off the first 30 seconds. So that's why the whole time you and I have been connected, I have not had my YouTube channel open. Even though before we met, whenever I had my YouTube channel open, like it was very quickly fast tracking, like 360% faster than it should be to get to those 4,000 hours. Like it was going to happen very quickly. And then all of a sudden shows kept getting dropped and dropped and dropped. And then whenever so I stopped it, and then I kept watching other people, and they're talking, like shadow banning and stuff like that, where your show gets pulled from the algorithm because you don't adhere to the community policies for monetization,
which are hypocritical, because if you turn around in the first 30
because
seconds,
they're still capitalizing on it. They still run ads, so they're still paying. They're still having bought ad time play during these demonetized episodes.
Right. Well, it's not just that. I'm also talking about the shows violating the guidelines. It's only a violation, as you said, if you use the word fuck or you talk bad about somebody like Joe Biden. If you turn around and say fuck Trump, nothing happens to your channel.
And that's almost a regular thing. It does happen, but it does happen regularly enough that where they don't get demonetized, that it's definitely an outstanding number, to be honest with you. That's the fucked up thing. So after just a few months of running my show and it looked like we were fast tracking to it. And then because of whatever the listener base was or whatever, I guess it automatically clocked a second counter in the algorithm that checked that initial content, saying fuck or anything like that, where then all of a sudden everything was demonetized, even though we weren't monetized at that point. We never were. We didn't go through it the whole time. I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. We weren't.
Right.
But at the same time, we were very well on our way to it. But then all of our episodes, we kept getting blackball reports that this episode would not be able to be monetized because of this. This is, Chris said this at 43 seconds into the episode, which would be, fuck your mother or whatever.
You know what? YouTube makes no sense. One time I got hit for not a copyright strike, but for a copyright hit, I guess you could say, on my own song. They tried to block me from using a song that Joe wrote.
Joe and I had that same problem. During a episode, before we understood the rules of it, Joe he had just gotten the whole Alexa Home deal put in his house, and he was like, "Hey Alexa, play this," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. We got music on command or whatever," and then we got a report, that's demonetized. And it was like, what? What?
Yeah, I had to argue with him.
YouTube advertises Alexa, how can you say us using it demonetizes us? And so it's Spotify is a lot freer with those things, especially if you're an in-house show or whatever. You get a lot more freedom with that stuff, and YouTube still has its place. It's just a matter of just lean into it and never let it fucking go.
Well, that's the funny thing. When I got hit for the again, not a strike. I don't want people to think like I got a black mark on my record from it.
You're allowed 3, so
Well, no, I've never. That's the nice thing. I've never had a strike on Realm of the Mist. But here's the funny thing: the song was "Needful Things" by Disillusion Purity, my last band. Okay, and they hit me with a copyright on it where they demonetized the ability for that video to be monetized for that song.
You get that report whether you're actually making money or not.
Right,
yeah.
And they turned around because it was copyrighted. You ready for this? By Realm of the Mist Entertainment and Medal of Fallen Records.
Yeah, which Realm of the Mist is part of your title.
Well, that's the thing.
Contradictory.
Take into consideration that this was on a Realm of the Mist YouTube channel. Okay, and I had to prove to them that I was the owner of Realm of the Mist Entertainment and Medal of Fallen Records, and that I had written the fucking song.
I was going to say there's definitely a way to argue that and get it lifted, but then you're talking about a lot of energy whenever you could have put it into other shows. So that was the principle,
though. You're telling me I can't use what I wrote? Fuck you.
Yeah, for you specifically, the principle would be definitely the thing. But for the average person who's just using something, like the ability to use Alexa, just right after you showed an Alexa commercial on my channel, is really kind of weird, and. At the beginning of everything, I was the one who was super hardcore and done all the research on, intellectual property and how the name of the show and how that's protected and making sure that it's original content and all that stuff. I'm the one who did all of that work. And then Joe was like, hey, cool, check this out. I have this. He didn't know. And he did not know what a landmine he was walking into. And I was like, it's just one show, fuck it. And then we got a report. And he was like it was so disheartening to him that it really ruined his feng shui with being able to be on shows to where we only did it on private channel only. Nothing we did after that point was the end of the YouTube kind of deal, and now that Spotify has this new deal going on for content creators that are specific to Spotify, because by 2021, by the end of November, actually, I'll be 100% Spotify, and Spotify, Facebook, and IG. That'd be 100% of where all my content can be found because of the deal. So as long as you're doing that, then there's nothing at all that can be said. So there's still some censorship because I'm not able to put it up on other channels. But at the same time, those other channels, like, are you coming to me with this deal? So, you're splitting hairs at the end of the day, but to be able to pick a avenue that allows you to go ahead and lean into what you're going to lean into and not have to deal with repercussions. That's something that's the restrainer right now for new podcasters and people who've only been up for a year or two or whatever, like walking through that landmine of shit. Like, you have to become a subject, going back to military days, you have to become a subject matter expert or a SME to actually understand how to post and then make sure you don't fall into any traps with YouTube or Spotify or Facebook or Twitter or IG or LinkedIn. You have to know so much of this shit, and there's just very few of us who know enough about all of that shit. And Spotify is, at the moment, they're turning it into a platform that allows you to make these mistakes and not get fucked for it. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because without that, it would take years and years more to have the opportunity that I'm getting right now.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for what you're effing binge, but I've got to disagree. I've got to disagree that you're going to be 100% on Spotify by 2021, unless you're leaving Breaking the Fourth Wall weekly. Because if you're not leaving it, I would argue at least 12% will still be with Realm of the Mist.
Yeah, I still have that leeway, and that's the cool thing is that I'm in 100% control of my content. It's the how the content is actually managed after the fact. That's the kind of deal, but that doesn't eliminate any participation in anything else I do, because unless that deal comes your way with breaking the fourth wall, you would not be under those guidelines. But they do not limit my creativity. So I'm allowed to put out as much content as I want. Some of it may be Spotify specific, which would be the show for, What Your Effing Binge. Everything else is completely creative. So they draw that separation. There's a clear line, but they don't infringe on it. They don't say you can't do that. So I'm cool with that. I'm at least for, I don't know any better, but at the same time, I'm cool with that.
It'll probably
have that kind of opportunity.
It'll probably make life a lot easier. But until that time comes, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where they can find What's Your Effing Binge today? Because we got to end this episode. And guys, stick around because we will be doing another episode, a Halloween-specific episode, coming up here very soon.
Yeah, What's Your Effing Binge? You can find us on Facebook. There's a public group. There's also a private group for all the subscribers. There's also a group on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere else you can find quality podcast, iTunes, Google, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, all iHeart, Pandora, all that good shit. You can find it. Just type in What's Your Effing Binge, and it'll take you right to it.
There you go. And, of course, if you like this episode in any capacity, hit the thumbs up button. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out all the other great podcasts of Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Keep an eye out for what I may or may not do by myself outside of Realm of the Mist Entertainment. If you prefer the podcast in audio-only format, look, wherever quality podcasts can be heard. Look up Realm of the Mist, you'll find us. And we're on all the social medias. I will catch you on the next daily show. We are out, and we'll be back next time. Or, actually, it's not the daily show anymore, is it? We'll work on the title.
We'll figure it out.
We'll work on the title. We'll be back.